the workout video you've been waiting for.
Let's get Fritzical.
Now you too can have massive guns like DP show booker Todd Fritz.
By hook or by crook, you're gonna get huge.
Introducing the newest craze in stay-at-home fitness. Let's get Fritzical.
Wanna get huge? Forget about fitness. It's time for Fritzness.
Fritzy breaks down a variety of grueling exercises, including the isometric phone bicep curl.
Look at that. That's what I'm talking about.
Fritzy's legendary alternating pec dance.
I'm au natural.
Then there's the patented lefty hook.
What is going on here?
And don't forget the intense one-finger keyboard pec.
Feel the burn.
Wanna hear your body talk?
I wanna get Fritzical. Let's get into Fritzical.
All it takes is one call and you're on your way to an absolute average body. Operators are standing by. Call 1-800-FRITZNESS. That's 1-800-FRITZNESS.
I don't know a lot about sports, but I can drink a lot of beer.
My motto is simple: C's get degrees.
Need a long, inappropriate hug? I'm your man.
I think I'm smarter than you, because I probably am.
Howard Collins, the box score. Hello and welcome to the Box Score. I'm Brock in Los Angeles. They are the Danettes in Milford, Connecticut. Guys, it is all college hoops all the time now. Paulie, who's in your Final Four and who do you have winning it all?
This right now, what you hear right now is the most I've thought about it. I am going to do my bracket in hopefully under 2.5 minutes or 90 seconds. If I think about it, I guarantee I'll pick poorly. If I don't think about it, I'll pick less poorly.
I'm staying away from it. I've been beaten by every secretary, every grandmother's chicken dog, so I'm done with these things. A lot of college hoops talk, though, and I got DP reiterating his take on the one-and-done situation. And you guys had Louisville's coach Rick Pitino on, and he weighed in on the subject.
This is not an education they're getting. I mean, let's face it, they're going to school for 6 months, then they take first semester, then second semester they're taking online courses, so the APR is not hurt with certain places. It's not about education. It's not a good system. So the bottom, let the kids go out of high school, and if they don't make it, let them go to the D League. College is not for everybody. You know, it's making a little bit of a farce of the educational system. The kids that want to go to college, let them go for 2 or 3 years, get an education, obviously a social education, an emotional education, an academic education, and we'd all be better for it.
It is strange for me to hear coaches talk about how they don't want one and done. Because, I mean, I get the point that they want to keep their kids around a little longer, but ultimately they're the only people that actually benefit from it, being able to get these unbelievable, like these superstars right out of high school. It just always strikes me as so odd that they're like, well, yeah, they're making a farce of the educational system. What does he care about the educational system? He's not there to teach.
And how much of what you're saying is what you think you're supposed to say publicly and behind closed doors, like you said, that they're kind of they're not so upset about getting all these guys, even if it's just for 1 year, if it's going to help them get closer to a national title.
It is good though to hear somebody as big with such a big name talk about how broken the system really is, though. I mean, it is a joke. The whole student athlete.
He even got specific. He said, these kids, they go to classes for 4 months or less, then they can take online courses that second semester. Because your second semester grades don't matter. It doesn't affect your eligibility if you're leaving. You only have to get a C for 3.5 months. That's how easy it is to be a one-and-done guy. And, the one-and-done is just, it doesn't help anybody. And it even is against the rights of the kids that to make you go to college when you don't want to is, it shouldn't be. If you want to go on I don't care if these kids go out of high school and they flame out and live in a dumpster. It doesn't bother me. That's your choice. But they should have the choice to do so.
Paulie, rest your voice. Fritzy, what changes would you make to the one-and-done rule if you could?
I think that you should be able to play whenever you want to play. If you want to, whether it's out of high school, they're recruiting like 8, 9, 10-year-olds and whatever crazy things they're doing right now, and that would amuse me a lot. The kid that's out of elementary school starts dribbling around and heading straight off to college, and they kind of wink at
So why do you
any
have a
junior
problem
high school
with,
or high
why
school.
do you have a problem with that? But tennis, they're pulling kids out of school at 8, 9, 10, and sending them to academies. On soccer players,
Yeah.
they're across the world. Why are you picking on basketball?
Because I don't think enough people care about tennis and soccer where they're that passionate about the ages as if it was like one of
I
the
don't know
more-
that that's the same thing either, though. I mean, I would imagine if you're being pulled out of school to go to an academy.
You're getting paid.
No,
your
I'm
family
saying
gets
it's
paid?
far.
It's pretty. That's actually a much better situation than some like 11-year-old kid thinking he's got a full ride to USC, and then I mean you have to think of how that mindset would affect a child
Well, my
heading
point-
through high school.
My point is, people say, "Oh, they're putting athletics over academics with basketball players." Basketball players and football players are going to much more school than every other sport out there. They're going to twice as much school as any tennis player ever went to. They're going to 3 times as much school as European
No,
soccer.
they must be-
Baseball.
they must
These
be
are the
getting-
academic sports. All the other sports are make them pros at age. You know, Pete Sampras got shipped off to Bollettieri when he was 10 years old.
They don't do any kind
Yeah.
of schoolwork at all in
They
these
do.
tennis
They do
academies?
schoolwork, but it's not. Obviously, they get pulled out of home to go to a tennis academy.
It's not, I'm sure it's not
Yeah.
a
Are
Are you
regular
feeling like
curriculum,
it's a
but-
difference between being homeschooled and being?
No,
like,
it's a
at
joke. They're there for
university?
tennis. They're not there for academics. That's not school. They play tennis 5 hours a day or something. That's not a school situation. I mean, you can call it a school. I'm saying it's not academic.
McLovin's right about one thing. College football players probably get the most education of any sport because if you're really good at baseball, you can get drafted and leave early.
You're gone.
Tennis, soccer, hockey, you go juniors out of high school. But if you play college football and you're pretty decent, you're going to get 3/4 of a way to a college degree. So college football is the closest thing to pushing education, and it seems to be the most rampant, scandal-filled sport.
Yeah.
But even if it's like a faux education, I mean, they're really not getting educated.
But 3 years out of college
Some
campus.
They're getting by enough to stay eligible for the team, right?
No, I mean, but like, if you look at the entire student body, I don't know what the numbers are, but I think, yes, some are making a joke of it and just getting by, but I don't think a majority of Division I college football, a lot of them are
I think you're both
learning by osmosis.
You're both right. If you play
know?
3 years of college football, you could do nothing and stay for 3 years. But 3 years
But
of
there are
college,
probably a lot who do take advantage of it.
3 years
I
of
would
college
think.
football and 3 years of college classes compared to like a guy who goes pro for baseball in high school is riding a minor league bus, living in hotels for 3 years. He's got not one day of college classes. And if he washes out, which 96% of draftees don't make a day in the pros in baseball, he's got no college education.
Yeah.
And you can't go back and get a scholarship because you've already played and lose your eligibility.
I wonder what percentage of kids leave right from high school and don't go to college and then play baseball and then don't make it. Like if you're 18, like Derek Jeter probably could have gone right out of there. I wonder how many
96%.
go through.
4% of drafted high school players play 1 minute in the Major League Baseball.
Oh, drafted high school players.
school
I thought you
players.
just said draftees.
Draftees that are directly from high school, they say the average is 4% a year.
That's so strange.
You got
Why wouldn't they
nothing to
go to
fall back
college
on.
then?
Yeah.
Well, do you
I
make
mean, like that doesn't make any sense.
You-
They
if
make
you're-
decent money in
That's
the
a
minors.
major
too.
risk.
If
There's
you're
very
bonus, if
little.
you're a first round draft pick out of high school, you can make upwards of anywhere from like probably 3 to 15 million for your guaranteed and it's guaranteed.
Yeah,
Like,
and then not make it announced
even if
in
you
the
don't make
pros?
it. Yep.
All right, well, we are going to take a timeout because this is the box score, and the box score is growing to 7 feet 6 inches. That's coming up next. And this is the box score, of course, and it's powered by the Ram 1500 Eco Diesel. Every truck can tow a boat, every truck can climb a hill, every truck can haul a trailer, but not everybody has the most fuel-efficient half-ton truck on the road. Get more facts at ramtrucks.com. Guts, glory, Ram.
So you're probably 7'6" right there, aren't you? Right?
Yeah, it's not that bad. How's the weather down there?
Yeah. The old saying, somebody said that to Will Chamberlain. They'd always say to Will Chamberlain, who was 7'1", "Hey, how's the weather up there?" And then he would spit on him, and he said, "Raining."
Yeah, he really struggled with the ladies at that height.
Welcome back to the box score. Dan asked you if you wanted to be 7'6", if it meant you could have a $60 million NBA career salary. McLovin, you fought hard on this one. Is this a no-brainer?
No brainer. I mean, that's a lot of money. I mean, for Dan, maybe it wasn't as much money as it was for the rest of us. But that's a lot of money for what I consider a medium inconvenience. Not the end of the world. You're never going to be super cool.
Yeah, I could see it being extremely awkward, like a circus.
Will you sleep on a hard
That's a lot of money.
wood floor with no blanket for the rest of your life for $60 million?
Wow. Now, what's the
You have to sit on a
what's the
hardwood-
temperature in the room?
It's room temperature.
So I'm not like
God, that would drive me
freezing.
crazy.
A hardwood, but no, but you get
Do I
$60
get a
million.
pillow?
The rest of your life, you could be covered. Like,
But just think about you have so much money, you could buy 60 million beds with that money and
But
still
you're not
have a ton
allowed
of money
to,
left
though.
over. But you're not allowed to.
Yeah, you have to sleep. You have to sleep on a hardwood floor every night with no blanket, a pillow.
Are we talking like an oak? Like what kind of
a pine,
hardwood?
a soft pine. I would be gentle.
You could get splintered.
And I'm being facetious, but it's also like you have to choose to be uncomfortable and gawky, and for the rest of your life. And you think 6'4" is tall? That's nothing, man. I mean, there's something to be said for not being stared at and pointed at and made fun of for the rest of your life.
You know what? That first thought that crossed my mind. I'm like, wow, I could.
The hardwood floor.
I could pay for my 2 daughters' preschool in Brooklyn for $60 million. Barely.
Barely.
Barely. By the way.
They wouldn't let you in.
I could live in downtown Brooklyn for $60 million.
You'd never pass the interrogation. They say you're too tall and freaky to be walking the halls.
Remember that dude who played for the Globetrotters that was here?
Oh.
Yeah.
There you go. You're right. I
We
don't
all
want.
walked out here and felt bad
Being
for the
like,
guy.
dang, man, that dude.
That guy blocked it. When I went to
walk
play, he
into
blocked a
places.
foul shot of me, and they didn't call any goaltending.
Not having a good time.
That was that was.
And he's not getting
called
60
out.
mil. I don't
No.
think either playing for the Globetrotters.
60 grand.
Hey, McLovin, what if you could make $500,000 a year and you get to be LeBron James shooting coach, making him the greatest shooter of all time, but you're only 4'11"? Would you do that?
Nope. I don't want to be 4'11". I honestly think that's worse. I don't think it'd be fun to walk into a room at 4'11".
Well, am I devastatingly handsome?
And that
Am I-
money's not nearly enough.
500 grand.
500 grand?
Yeah,
It's
it's not
got
that
to be
much
like
money.
Hell
several
no.
$1 million.
Hell no.
Under 5 feet tall.
Okay, would you be 8 inches shorter than you are now, but you're really good looking and in great shape, and you don't have to work out? Like you're
Oh, yeah.
5'2", but you're
Absolutely.
No.
I'd do that.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah, I'd be an actor.
Like Tom Cruise is what,
I'd be set.
5'6"?
Yeah,
Probably.
maybe.
I'm being generous.
Yeah, maybe. I would do that in
Put
2
some
seconds.
heels on your shoes, you'll be all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get boots.
Yeah, they shoot you the right way. All of a sudden, you're an actor. You're like, killing it.
Yeah. The right
I'm in.
backdrop.
I'll
Yeah,
take
but
my
you
60
but you
mil and-
always have that Napoleon complex. You walk in a room and
Napoleon's
the
been
girls
slated.
The girls are scanning everybody, and you know they're looking at you, and be like,
Okay, I've
wow,
already
that
got a
guy's-
massive chip on my shoulder. Who cares if I have a Napoleon complex on top?
You ever heard of Napoleon spillover? It was big back in that era. Huge. That guy cleaned up.
Let them stare at your bank account.
You know that. You read.
See, how about this? $500,000 a year, you're a pro surfer for 15 years, but you look and sound exactly like Pee Wee Herman. Would you do that?
$500,000 a year being a pro surfer for 15 years, and then I'm Pee Wee Herman.
I'm
How
trying
about
to
this?
use
How about
the
this?
Part of you want to be Pee Wee Herman anyway, though. He was so cool.
Yeah,
back
it's not like I sound great anyway. It's not like I've got some pipes that I'm giving up that all of a sudden I'm like, ah!
What if you got to
Who
be
cares?
Kelly Slater
Oh, okay.
until you're 50 and then you die in a painful shark attack?
I'm in.
Really?
But you get to be Kelly Slater, the
Yeah, I'll
greatest.
take
And
that.
then
I'll
get
take the
eaten by a
greatest
shark?
50 years of any living life.
can it be any
and then
death?
just get eaten by a shark?
Okay. Can I take a bullet to the head instead of the shark attack?
No, it's over in like 40 seconds tops.
Chances are he's gonna bite me in half, and
That's
then
a terrible
okay,
force.
over.
Terrible.
Although
50
I have to
seconds.
be, man, that's like one. Being eaten by an animal is one of like my biggest fears ever. But Kelly Slater for 50 years?
He cleaned up.
Been a shark.
Nobody cleaned
Even
up.
if he gets to sort of like the Fat Elvis end of things, where he's like 45 and like just blows it all out.
Ooh, wow.
Kelly Slater
pretty dope.
chose to
That's
break
a-
up with
I can't
Pamela
believe
Anderson in
you're
her
saying
prime.
In her prime.
That's the move of all
Where
time.
he's like, you know what? Actually, I'm good.
I've got other options.
I think
Jeez,
we
move
should see
on.
other people.
my hero.
All right, Fritzy, how about this? $500,000 a year, you're a porn star, but you weigh 550 pounds.
Oh my God. Yeah, I can't sign up for that. That's way too much weight, and that's way too little salary. I'll have to do with some other line of work outside of the adult entertainment industry. But yeah, that would have to be many millions of dollars and a lot less poundage. That would be kind of
The male porn star
disgusting.
has a very coveted job anyway. I don't feel like the male porn star is like, ooh, I wish I could be a male porn star. I don't know.
But if,
Kind of like a weird group of dudes.
But if you're not married, you have no ties to anybody, and you have no shame, and you don't care who recognizes it, and you're like really good looking, great body and everything, and you're just having sex with attractive women like all the time, that's your like job, that would be something to consider. Something
Other than that,
But yeah, but if you're throwing in 550 pounds and
They call you the Blob.
that's not good.
And that it's like your
Peter
move.
North Pole, like you're that big.
No, we
Pole
can't-
and the Blob
can't sign up-
together again.
Can't sign up for that.
Oh, that's a lot of Fritzy on the TV screen. All right, stick around, no pun intended. It's Know Your Row next. Welcome back to the Box Score. Guys, let's face it, at this point in our lives, we are annoying. Just ask Twitter. But who do we annoy the most? The people who pay us not to be annoying. We asked your row partner, what is the one thing that you do that really irks the boss? I think this is a perfect opportunity to play.
Know your row!
Let's begin in the front row. Paulie, what is the one thing that Seton said that you do that annoys the boss?
Got a couple in my head. Used to be a topper. I think I'm better about that.
It's very specific
Yeah.
what I said. It might be a little too specific.
I used to be a topper. I don't think that's the answer. I think I've curtailed that. Oh, man.
He's nervous.
I will often go say to Dan, and I think I'm better about it. I know it still bothers him, like, hey, new shoes? Or say something very obvious to him. I think I'm better about it, but I know it annoys him.
Is it saying the obvious?
Sometimes Paul will, like Dan will say, like, hey, what are you getting for lunch today? And Paul will go, me? It's like, yeah, I'm asking you the question. I'll be like, hey, Paul, what are you getting for lunch today? Who, me? And it's like, I don't know really why Paul does that. It's like maybe he's thinking of an answer or something. I don't really know. But I know that bothers Dan.
Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe just that day you had done that to,
it's been a few times.
to Dan, and he was just like, why do you always do that? Who, me? Yeah, that's why I'm asking you the question, doofus.
Yeah,
so it's a little specific.
I am a whomie guy. I am a whomie guy. I tried to curtail that, but yeah, for some reason that bothers Dan infinitely. So I may do it more often. I may start doing it more often.
Who, me?
Back row, McLovin, what does Fritzy think that you do that annoys DP?
I think I almost should be able to pass on this because there's no way Todd has given 1 second of thought to what I interact with DP because Todd only thinks about what Todd is doing.
Wow.
5 hours a day. Does anyone disagree with that?
Only 5?
Yeah. So I really don't think
That's kinda
Todd has given a thought to what I do to annoy DP.
You have no answer?
I'm going to give no answer, Brock.
I think when McLovin tries too hard to use big words and tries to maybe out-knowledge Dan at times when they're talking NFL. And also spilling things. But if I had to pick one thing, I'm going to say maybe trying to look like the brightest football guy in the room.
I think you actually should give McLovin credit for this because Fritzy's answer was based on nothing whatsoever. It was not an actual guess because Dan's never said that.
Dan's never complained about you using big words necessarily.
Yeah, what Dan does not like, sometimes there's clutter on my desk.
Yeah.
And you were in the right ballpark with that.
Yeah, but how can he get annoyed about that? Look at his desk got his stuff like.
Okay.
I know, but either way though, Dan does.
All right, well, it's a half a point
I think
then. Half a point for the back row.
Yes,
Half a point. We'll take it. We'll take
Back
it. We'll take it.
to Seton. What did Paulie say Dan finds most annoying about you?
It's got to be something about when I argue, because that's the one way I get really under Dan's skin. So it's either got to be that can I go just as broad as arguing, or that he always says that I get defensive. So somewhere in that ballpark, I know that definitely annoys Dan.
All right, ballparks, arguing. Let's see what we have.
It happens a lot less often, but what irks Dan about Seton is when they argue and they end up arguing about the same topic and they're yelling at each other, and even though they pretty much agree with the premise of the discussion.
It's partial.
Okay, first of all, we all realize that's Dan's fault, right? When we're arguing and all of a sudden we're arguing about the same thing, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's what I've been saying. And it's just like, that's his fault,
If
right?
we asked him, he would say it's your fault.
Yeah, of course. Of course he would. It's his fault.
Because it always ends up with.
This sounds like one of
It's
those
his
arguments.
fault, right? Anybody watching who's of sound mind and body realizes that it's like, Dan, dude, what's your problem?
Like that Martin Short. It's me?
Is it me?
It's him.
It's him.
Of course I know that. Why wouldn't I know that?
And finally, Fritzy, what did McLovin say that you do that annoys Dan the most?
It's between ask, answer, ask, or doing the pump fake. I'm going to go with the pump fake. I'm going to raise my hand. I'm not. I'm going to raise it. I'm not. I may have something to say. You already said it. We moved on to something else again. Something like that.
Is it the fake
I lost
pump?
the moment. I was going to say something. Yeah.
Well, first of all, this is not a fair question to me. I think everybody is going to have a reasonably short answer, but Todd gets under Dan's skin probably more than the rest of the Danettes. Sorry, Todd, it's true. I think the thing that irks him the most is when you keep on bugging him about the same topic, even though, you know what? It's a huge part of your job, and I hope you keep doing it. And I think Dan wants you to do it. It just bugs him.
That is correct.
Yeah. Did you guys agree with that?
No, that's not at all the right answer.
It's the wrong answer.
So
not
many
even
other
close.
things that you pick from.
But does Dan get annoyed when Todd keeps hitting requests at him? I feel like that was an aggravation.
I try not
Even
to.
though it's a good thing, that's what you should be doing, and we
No,
all
only
appreciate
because
it.
he's been known to be a little vague with the responses. You know, Paulie be like,
Are the
"You
questions
want that guy on? Ask him, yes."
What about are the questions vague and Dan's vague as well?
The questions are sometimes vague, but then ultimately,
This is Dan's fault too.
I've seen all of us
Yeah.
in situations where we'll ask something and we may get a response that has absolutely nothing to do. We have that favorite joke where we'll ask something about something show related, and one of us may get a note back. Did someone print out my itinerary for Dallas? Or something
Hey
like
Dan, we can do either this or that. Which one do you
Okay.
like? Okay.
That being said, Brock,
You can't get more vague.
Their
than that.
guess was about asking questions and pumping your hand too many times, not about being overbearing
Right.
with
I don't
requests
know why
for
they're
certain
getting
things.
credit for that.
So there's no point.
Paulie.
Well, I was going to say that the winning row.
You can't unring a bell. Okay,
This is where everybody talks
The
now
winning
about
row
the things
is
Dan
no
does,
longer.
not us.
No longer the back row.
Okay.
Okay, the winning row I'm hearing is nobody. How about that? No one wins. You happy now?
Everyone 1-1.
All right. Okay, stick around. This is the box score, and we are taking a break to remind you that the Ram Heavy Duty, with its best-in-class towing, torque, and horsepower, doesn't need one. Guts, glory, Ram. We are closing up shop here on the box score. Nobody wins and Know Your Row. We asked the guys what they thought the other guy did that irritated Dan the most. But let's turn the tables right now. Enough of this kissing the feet of the boss. Let's go to Seton. How about this? What does Dan do that irritates you the most?
And you're saying I have to pick just one? Is that the rule?
No.
No. Well, we sort of covered that already. But as soon as I start debating something with him, he accuses me of getting defensive, which immediately gets me like, I go right to like seeing red, and I'm like, I'm not being defensive, and then you are being defensive, and you're like, dude.
It's a vicious circle.
It seems to, if I say something contrary, all of a sudden he sort of gets this going on, where it's like, oh, wait a minute, Seton, I thought it was this. And then all of a sudden the whole thing becomes an attack on me. That I'm like, wait a minute, I'm just saying that.
I was thinking about this the other day. I really agree with Seton on this. I think sometimes Dan takes any type of disagreement with his opinion as an argument and a personal attack, and it goes from a discussion to an argument from 0 to 60 in 1 second, and we never get to the actual discussion. Like if I said that blank player was better than this player, and he's, no, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, well, I may or may not know what I'm talking about. Well, let's discuss it.
Yeah.
And I'd say the thing that annoys me about Dan would be sometimes I don't think takes enough chances on the air. I think he should take more chances with guests and
the guest
laying into people. I think I'd like to take more chances. Sometimes, and I'm complimenting Dan in this making fun of. Sometimes I think he underrates his ability to make a guest great. And he says, like, I'll give you an example. Today I wanted a guy who won the Iditarod. Now, while the Iditarod is not a huge event, I believe that Dan would have made that segment great. You would have put the Iditarod winner on. There's 4 or 5 questions Dan needs to hit, and we'd have fun with it. And I think Dan would make you care more about the Iditarod in 6 minutes than any host in America could. And he goes, no. And I was like, all right, but I think he should trust himself to take those more chances.
McLovin?
Wow. I don't know if annoyed is the right word, but it's something I definitely don't like. When we're sitting around in the morning talking, guys having a good time, and he'll come in and he'll go, ah! with like a really mean fake laugh, and then just walk into his room. You guys know that? When Dan will do that?
Yeah, he does do the gigantic fake laugh at something you said that you're like,
Yeah,
hey.
so what happened is he's basically kibosh small talk on our side of the glass. He's gonna immediately walk in and say, you guys are not even worthy of small talking in my presence, and walk into the other room. I've always thought that if he could just be like a little bit, I know you guys don't agree, if he could just be a little bit more like people act in an office
Like
towards
humans?
small talk. Yes.
Like
Can he
Well,
be a
wait a
little
minute,
more
that's
human?
not Dan, that's Paul.
No, but Dan,
That's Paul.
Dan's fake laugh is like the meanest thing. You know what I'm talking about.
No, the fake laugh is great. That's a funny bit. But the war on small talk is this guy. You can't give Dan credit for that. Dan's more a a follower.
He's absorbed it.
Oh, absolutely. He's taken that on.
I thought you were going to say, like, sometimes in the morning meeting, especially when, like, Paul's going through, like, the topics of the day, you know, you can kind of, I think you guys must hear it. I know I hear, he's kind of, like, humming under his breath, and I don't know if that's some kind of relaxation, like, yoga technique, or
so wait, that's something that he does that annoys you?
A little bit.
Have you ever sat next to yourself?
But during a conversation.
Do you know how many times today you've gone, just like Bogey and McCall?
Yeah, but I'm not.
15,000.
Yeah, but not during the morning meeting.
Morning meeting, you have your head down and aren't looking up whatsoever, and don't utter one word.
I am doing some
And by the way, you will throw out a CBS football.
80 times a day.
I will do sports themes and stuff like that. I try not to do it like in the middle of talking about.
This is transference. You find annoying in other people what you do yourself.
Like chewing loud.
Like being defensive.
You find Dan's offensive.
Attacking people needlessly over small things.
Sure, it started off what we find most annoying about Dan, but it's all landed on Fritzy's lap. Fritzy, who is on tomorrow, quickly?
Rick Neuheisel in a transition period between Pac-12 and CBS and Will Ferrell, actor, comedian, Get Hard.
Everyone knows who Will Ferrell is.
March 27.
Rick Neuheisel, Will Ferrell.
All right, this has been Box Score. We are back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, right here on Audience Channel 239. Podcast is available on iTunes and podcast1.com. See you later.
I don't know a lot about sports, but I can drink a lot of beer.
My motto is simple. C's get degrees. Need a long, inappropriate hug? I'm your man.
I think I'm smarter than you because I probably am.
Hey, thanks for watching the Box Score. Holy cow!